Welcome back to Cord Cutting Today, where we break down some of the biggest stories happening in the world of cord cutting. Right now, we're going to look back at some of the biggest stories so far in 2025 and give you an update on what's happening, including Roku buying Friendly TV. I think this is just the start of a mass consolidation in streaming within the world of cord cutting. ESPN buying the NFL network, NFL Red Zone, NFL Plus, and more with this. We'll tell you what's happening with that deal. And if there's any new news, also, NBC Universal shut down one of the largest cable networks so far this year to shut down. Many more are coming up probably very soon. These stories and a whole lot more coming up in a quick second as we give you an update on the world of cord cutting. First though, I'll put a link to each story I'm about to talk about in the show notes so you can read it for yourself and come up with your own opinions. I'd love to hear from you. If you're new here, please consider hitting that subscribe button or hitting that thumbs up. We do daily videos on the world of cord cutting, breaking down everything you need to know with reviews, news, tips, tricks, and a whole lot more. With that said, let's dive into it. So, I'm recording this about 2 days before I release it because I'm traveling today, but hopefully this hasn't actually come to fruition. If it has, I apologize. But Roku announced a few weeks ago that they're going to buy Friendly. Now, it's expected to close either in May or in June of this year. Now with this, Roku will take over as owner of Friendly, which is a live TV streaming service here that gives them access to a ton of content out there, including the Hallmark channels, Weather Channel, MeTV Tunes, and a whole lot more. Roku's expanding into its subscription business and its ad business by buying Friendly. Remember, Roku now makes a majority of its money off of ads and subscriptions. Device sales are a distant second. So with that, they're going to buy it. Now, big thing here to remember is I think this is just the start of a bunch of consolidation within cord cutting. There's 100+ paid subscription streaming services. Don't even get me started on the ad-supported free streaming services on the market. I've said this for a long time. There are more streaming services on the market than the market can support. What does that mean? Well, people are only going to subscribe to so many services. We've actually seen the number of them reduce recently. In 2020, when everybody was stuck at home, that number creeped up to as high as 7 streaming services per household for TV. And since then, that number's fallen back down to now, according to our most recent survey of our readers, just 3 paid services on average at any given time for cord cutters. With that, that means most services people don't subscribe to. Seeing Roku pick up Friendly, I think it's just the first step of them growing and diversifying their business model. Let's be honest, there's not as many reasons to go buy new TVs. I use in my lab a Roku TV that's 5+ years old. Others devices I've had, I have a travel Roku I take with me that's close to like 8 years old. It works just fine now. Many streaming players now last 10+ years. Let's be honest, many TVs can last a lot longer than that. Because that Roku's diversifying, and I think you'll see them and other companies like Roku going on buying sprees to pick up some smaller streaming services, bundle them together into bigger ones. Especially keep an eye on the ad-supported market. One surprised me to see things like Pluto TV merge with other smaller services out there, but also in the paid services. Seeing Friendly maybe be paired up with other streaming services in the future. We'll keep an eye on it. Now, like I said, I expect, according to the reports, that this will close either in May, so there's only a couple more days left in that, or in June. It is very possible, though, I post this video and it either just happened or will happen as soon as I hit post. Just keep that in mind. All right, next up, ESPN, according to sources, are in talks to buy the NFL Network, NFL Red Zone, and NFL Plus. Now, this came out from multiple sources out there with this. March Sports Network, The Athletic reported, and I think Bloomberg or New York Times or somebody else also reported they heard sources that said this. Don't quote me on that. It's one of those big news companies. With this deal, ESPN would basically take over the NFL's media sites. So their NFL Red Zone, the NFL Network, and NFL Plus, which is their subscription streaming service for mobile devices that gives you access to local games. With this, ESPN will basically give the NFL partial ownership of the ESPN networks in a joint venture. Remember, Disney owns the vast majority of it. There is a smaller partner that owns a small slice of ESPN. Disney would still retain, according to reports, full control of ESPN. They would just basically give a portion of that to the NFL Network in exchange for this. There is one thing here. A lot of this talk was related to the new launch of the ESPN streaming service coming out later this year. With that, though, we've learned a lot, and so far in the announcements, no news of ESPN and NFL teaming up even, much less them buying it. I think it's still very possible this deal happens, but I'm hearing a lot less talk about it. Two things are happening. Either the deal fell apart, which I wouldn't surprise me at all. It's a big deal and a lot of moving pieces with it, or it's very possible here that they're still in advanced talks, but they're doing a better job of keeping it quiet. I do think that at some point the NFL Network and NFL in general is going to have to make a decision. Are they going to keep farming out their rights to more and more partners to get as much money as possible? If that's the case, NFL Network, NFL Plus, and more just don't make sense anymore. Maybe good time to unload that. Or they're going to have the option someday to pull back all the rights and just say, hey, all NFL games are now exclusive to NFL Network, NFL Plus, and these other streaming services. We're going to end our partnerships with other cable ones. The big problem with that, and some people have speculated that they would do that some days, just say, hey, we're going to distribute all of our own content instead of having to split that revenue with Fox, ABC, CBS, NBC, etc. We're just going to keep it all in-house. Well, Major League Soccer is kind of a warning message for that. We just saw them basically say, hey, the problem with that is you lose discoverability. Your dedicated fans will keep paying, but it's hard to attract new fans because they're unlikely to just randomly subscribe to your service, and it can prevent it from growing. NFL, though, if anybody could do it, probably them. We'll keep a close eye on this. I think this story, while I do think it was true when it was reported, it wouldn't surprise me to find out that in the detailed talks there, it fell apart. But we'll see. Every few months, it seems like we get an update on this. Maybe it really will happen. All right, next up, NBC Universal has shut down the largest cable network so far this year with the ending of NBC's Universal Kids, NBC Universal's Universal Kids. Now, this is just one of what I think will be many networks to shut down over the next year or so, as cable companies come to the realization that a lot of these cable networks are no longer profitable, especially kids networks. Increasingly, when you look at the networks that lost the most viewers, many of them are kids-related networks. I've talked about this a lot. Paramount, I think, is going to shut down multiple of their smaller networks, with things like Nick Teens not doing very well, losing over 50% of its primetime viewership in 2024. But they first need to finish their merger with Skydance before they make any big changes like that. Keep an eye on this. There's a lot of small networks that have rode the coattails of bigger ones for a long time. And they get a lot of money because you're subscribing to watch MTV or ESPN, and then these smaller like MTV2 type channels get bundled in. Well, increasingly, they're just starting to become unprofitable is what I've been hearing from people within the industry, and that has made cable networks seriously start considering shutting down some of these smaller networks. NBC Universal Kids may be the biggest one so far this year. I don't think it will be the last. Keep an eye out there for multiple small networks in this year, next year or so to shut down. I don't think we're going to see any big networks shut down anytime soon. Don't look for ESPN to be shutting down networks. Well, they kind of did it once with the Classic, ESPN Classic going away. But keep an eye on that. I think it's going to be important. All right, next up, Roku OS 14.5 rollout. Now, we broke the news that it was going live. Roku 14.5 is a new OS that brings a lot of under-the-hood fixes. There are reports that Apple is about to roll out a major update to their Apple TV user interface with it also later this year. We'll see next week if that's officially announced or not. keep an eye out for the streaming players. I talked a lot about, hey, Roku makes most of its money off of subscriptions and ads. There's not a lot of reason nowadays to run out and replace a streaming player. A lot of people have gone and now secured their streaming players, their smart TVs, and they're not looking to replace them every year because, let's be honest, Netflix runs just fine on a 5-year-old Roku as it does on a brand new Roku. For most people, the difference is very minor and not worth the upgrade. I'll be interested to see how this plays out, that if streaming players, how are they going to survive? How are they going to make their OSs more profitable? We've seen Roku put more and more ads in different places. Amazon Fire TV has also done things like put full screen video ads when you start the device. Roku's played around, tested it, done video ads, and more. Streaming players are going to have to find a way to become profitable. Even smart TVs. Let's be honest. I walked into Walmart and saw one of their branded 50-inch 4K TVs for like $200. It's hard to make money on a TV at just $200. They're making it on the ads and services on the back end of it. So look for updates to come out in the next years that make your TVs more monetizable. I think Apple will have to do the same. Google, Fire TVs, Roku, etc. have all already been doing that. And I think we're going to continue to see that trend of more and more ads as they try to find a way to justify the cost. It takes money to roll out these updates, these new features, and maintain them. And if you're just paying $200 as a one-time for a 50-inch 4K HDR TV, the profit margin is too small to give you 10 years of life support on that for updates. So look for, in this year and going forward, more ads will be shoved into your streaming players. All right, next up, this was kind of a surprise when this happened, because a few years ago, Nextstar, the largest owner of local television stations, shut down all their live streams of their local news. Instead, you got access on delay. You would get, like a few hours later, access to it. Now, I will say Nextstar has always been very good about their YouTube channels for local stations. You get a lot of content put there, local weather, news, and the like. Again, not live. When that happened, Nextstar said it was to kind of make their cable TV partners happy because they didn't want to upset them by offering live streams with their cable feeds with it. Now, though, they've kind of reversed course as people have gone back to the ability there. It jammed on me for some reason. Fire TV, gotta love it. With the growth of cord cutting, they've now gone back into offering live streams and even bringing in apps on their devices, like Roku's, Fire TVs, and more for most of their TV stations. Look for access to streaming options on things like Roku's and Fire TVs and more for local news and local content to become more widely available, free with ads. Nextstar cracking the lid on that, following many other companies. I think that we're going to see a revolution of local content being made more available, as it's one of the few things people actually are willing to watch live with it. Let me know, do you watch your local news streaming?
Nextstar launches free streaming apps for local ABC.
I apologize.
CBS,
I just
Fox, and
started
NBC
this
Universal.
voice reading on my Android tablet. I apologize. I started reading the story to me. I'll be very interested to see how this plays out. There is so much news out there, and local news is particularly struggling because of ad revenue decline. You've seen a lot of cuts. Will they be able to maintain the growth and without expanding outside of cable TV? Let me know. And lastly, this is about Fubo, but I think it's a trend we're going to see in more places. Fubo plans to launch this year new smaller sports-focused streaming packages and bundles with that. Now, you already see DirecTV doing this, Comcast and others offering smaller TV bundles of packages out there. Fubo has not said when these are coming, just that they are coming. And I think that's going to become the future. For a few reasons, I don't think there's going to be as many channels 5 years from now as there are today. A lot of people are cutting back on what they watch live TV for. If you're not sports and you're not news, a lot of people just don't watch local TV or live TV at all anymore. So look for smaller and smaller packages. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean there'll be a huge amount of savings with it, but I do think there is a market there for that. DirecTV has definitely found a following with their news-only packages and their sports-only packages, because there are a lot of people who still want news, for example, alongside their Disney Plus, Paramount, Netflix, etc., wherever they're maybe subscribing to. Will Fubo be successful in this? We'll have to wait and see, but for now it seems like it's a major focus of what they want to do going forward. We'll see. Fubo and Hulu merger still looms in the distance. The two sides are reportedly still in negotiations trying to figure out the details of the merger, what exactly will it look like. Now, one rumor that still persists, this is Hulu Plus Live TV and Fubo, not Hulu On Demand. According to the reports, those are separate deals. Hulu On Demand will remain a solely owned Disney operation with that. Well, that's it for today. There's a quick update on some of the biggest stories happening in the world of cord cutting, what we know about them, and what you should expect. What do you think is the biggest story happening in the world of cord cutting right now? Leave me a comment. Let me know. I'll love to hear from you. If you got this far and you like what we do, please consider hitting that subscribe button or hitting that thumbs up. Doing one or both lets YouTube know you enjoy what we do here, so they recommend our videos to more people. Until next time, take care. Be safe. I'll talk to you all again real soon.